Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first GoforUAE-Israel Food Security Investment Conference. My name is Gadi Braunshtain, and I'm the managing partner of GoforIsrael at Cukierman & Co. Investment House. I'm honored to welcome on stage Mr. Edward Cukierman, co-founder of Catalyst Funds, one of the leading private equity firms in Israel, and chairman of Cukierman & Co. Investment House, which has 28 years of track record in conducting over $7.5 billion worth in transactions for Israeli tech companies. Today, Cukierman & Co. has the largest investment banking team in Israel, as well as offices all over the world. Edward, the stage is yours.
Salam alaikum, shalom, hello to everyone. I am Edward Cukierman, founding partner of Catalyst Funds and chairman of Cukierman & Co. Investment House. Welcome to the first GoforUAE-Israel Food Security Conference. It is the 25th GoforIsrael event, and I would like to start with a special thank you to all the 700 guests from all over the world for registering to the online event today. 2020 was one of the most memorable years, not only because of the corona pandemic, but because of the historical agreement between Israel and the UAE, the Abraham Accords. I had the pleasure of visiting the UAE several times in the last few months. One of the topics that kept repeating itself in our conversation with UAE leaders was the issue of food security, which became a prominent concern during the pandemic. Food security is emerging as a key area in which the UAE is eager for Israeli expertise. With similar weather conditions and water scarcity to the UAE, our two countries can jointly make an impact on desert farming to ensure the availability of quality of food in the Middle East. The Israeli agtech sector is well developed, supported by the Israeli government, dedicated R&D centers, and academic institutions. We have today over 200 active startups in this field. Today you will be hearing from some of the leading companies and entrepreneurs from the sector. I'm convinced that together we can build strong partnerships and that the region will experience significant investment and trade activities in the coming future. And now, I will go over a presentation about the key success factors of the Israel Valley and cooperation opportunity between the UAE and Israel. The economic impact of the COVID was substantial, as obviously Israel has been facing the pandemic like every nation in the world. But the Israeli government has implemented measures that minimize the impact of the pandemic, especially if you compare it to the Western countries. Our GDP has declined by 4.25% versus 5.5% for the OECD countries. And what has been very much impacting today the situation, it has been the fact that 20% of the population today has been vaccinated. It's interesting to note that number 2 country in the world is the UAE in terms of vaccination rate with 9%, and the third one is Bahrain. Apparently, even though we are 3 small nations, the fact that the 3 of them have signed the Abraham Accord have enabled us to be blessed with this vaccination rate, which is pretty high. And now we are moving to the snapshot of the Israeli economy. It's a small nation of 9.3 million people, similarly to the population in the UAE. And the GDP growth has been close to 4% over the last 10 years, mostly thanks to the high-tech industry, which has been the locomotive of the growth of the high-tech industry, of the economy of Israel. There are 7 key factors that explain the success of the economy and specifically the high-tech industry. And we'll go over the 7 parameters, starting with education and universities. What is important to notice is that we have the highest rate of engineer per capita, 140 engineers versus for 10,000 people. But what is also important is to look at the investment in education versus the GDP, and here also we are world leader. The university have been established already before the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948. The first actually academic center was Mikveh Israel Center, which was developing agriculture tool to establish the kibbutz movement and to help the kibbutzim to have the state-of-the-art tool to develop agriculture at a very early stage. Also, the Volcano Institute supported the R&D in agriculture back in 1921, and then the Technion was established. You have a picture with the establishment of the inauguration made by Albert Einstein, and all the other universities such as the Hebrew University, that was one of the large centers for agriculture. It's interesting to note that each of these universities had a licensing department which commercialized the R&D done by the university to the industry. And YEDA, for example, has developed 7 out of the leading 25 drugs within the Weizmann Institute, and they have today about $3 billion of revenues that were generated in the last 6 years. Now, another element which helped a lot is the government support. Obviously by the investment made in R&D and financing of R&D, but also through the chief scientist, the investment in the military budget, the support to the venture capital industry, the government has been very instrumental in growing the high-tech industry. A very unique point is the fact that Israel has a very small local market. For that reason, many of the Israeli companies, when they start establishing their operation, they look at the global market. I circled in green the one that became market leader, which are related to the food security industry, such as IDE, which was the first company in the world to develop a solution for reverse osmosis to get water from the sea. Adama is also in the agro field one of the world leaders, but also Netafim, that in 1967 was established to provide a drip irrigation system, which is now used all over the world and obviously in the Middle East. Yeah. And now if you look at the growth of the high-tech industry, you see that we moved from above $12 billion in 1990 to above $100 billion in 2019. So the growth has been mostly related to the high-tech sector, but if you look at the export, every element of the export is related to technology. Even when you see on the graph low-tech, it's mostly agro-tech, but it's still technology solution. Another factor which had a huge impact is the investment made in R&D, also in the military, and in general, the military expenditure. What I believe is the most influential factor has been the role of the venture capital industry. You see by numbers, it's quite impressive that today we have the largest investment per capita in the world. Even if you look at absolute number, Israel has deployed last year, in 2020, more than $10 billion coming from the venture industry to the high-tech sector. It's the number 2 in the world in absolute number. So the reason why so many investors from all over the world invest in the high-tech sector, and there is today more than 380 venture funds, it's because of the history of exits that Israeli high-tech companies have managed to make. For example, in the NASDAQ, you see that more than 300 Israeli companies went public in the US, and more than 100 Israeli companies went public in Europe. Also, the number of unicorns in Israel have grown substantially. We moved from one unicorn, a company over $1 billion in 2030, which was Waze, obviously, to more than 45 unicorns today that are ready to consider either an M&A transaction or an IPO. See, the number of unicorns today is 46. The number 2 country in Europe after Israel, number 1 country is the UK with 27 companies that are considered as unicorn. So what drives really the venture industry? It has been the exit done in M&A. For many, many years, the American players were the leading player on the Israeli market, buying regularly Israeli companies. You can see the number of transactions made by Intel, Cisco, IBM, Microsoft, and all the big US firms. Altogether, here you have above $70 billion of transaction. But there is a very interesting phenomena is that you see in the last 10 years, more and more Chinese companies coming in and doing transaction. We put in red actually transaction in which we were involved, either as a venture capitalist or as an investment banker. And you see more and more Chinese players looking for state-of-the-art technologies in Israel and buying technologies from Israel. Another element which explained the high-tech success has been really the entrepreneurial spirit of the Israelis. Many say that it comes from the Jewish education, the values, also some, there are concepts in the Judaism such as tikkun olam, how to improve the world, or the idea of liberating your people, that when we celebrate the Passover celebration. And that's also probably linked to other elements such as the concept of chutzpah that we see from people very young coming at the Israeli army, having responsibility, taking initiative, and that's something that have been a very special DNA of the Israeli people. Another element, which is the last, is really the fact that it's a very attractive investment environment with a legal framework, the incentive that provide the government, for example, no tax on capital gains for foreign investors, but also the diversity that you can find here, culture, and also it's fun to come to Tel Aviv as it's fun to come to Dubai or Abu Dhabi and trying to do business. We have a lot in common in that sense. Now, why food security is such an important topic? And we decided to do our first Israel UAE conference on food security. 90% of the domestic food in the UAE is coming from imports. And there is a vision for the UAE leaders that the food security will be the most important driving force for the future. And we see a lot of above 10 innovative initiatives taken by the government regarding the food security. On the other side, in Israel, 96% of the consumption of fruits and vegetables is coming from local growing. You have more than 80% of the water that is recycled in Israel. We have also, with the desalination infrastructure, the vast majority of the water use is coming from water that went through a desalination process. Obviously, the development of the agro system in Israel as in an arid environment has a lot to offer to the UAE in terms of technology that we have developed, but also in terms of know-how. And this is know-how that we would like to share with our UAE partners. We would like to create really partnership between the two nations and focus on the food security. We think that we can develop for Israeli companies local activity in the UAE and help them to find the funding that is required to establish their operation in the UAE. Finally, we have selected out of the 200 leading technology in the food security, we have selected about 15 companies that we will present to you later on. So we have here a few companies that you have in that slide, but we circled in green the one that we have selected for the presentation today. Obviously, you will be able to be in contact with the leaders and the entrepreneurs of these Israeli companies and check what type of cooperation you can establish with them. I would like to thank you, all of you, for your attention. Shukran and Toda Rabba. And now let's go for Israel-UAE relationship.
I would like to welcome on stage Ambassador Eitan Naeh, Head of Mission of the Embassy of Israel to the UAE.
Assalamu alaikum and shalom. Distinguished guests, I'm Ambassador Eitan Naeh, and it is an honor for me to speak to you today as Israel's first official representative to the United Arab Emirates. It is my great pleasure to speak in the GoforUAE-Israel Food Security Investment Conference, organized by Cukierman & Co., Investment House and Catalyst Funds. I knew in my almost 30 years career as a diplomat many firsts, but this is the most exciting of them. Exciting, not just for me on a personal level, but more so for our countries and peoples because of what it achieved and the distance covered so far. These historic agreements are an important milestones that will serve to advance security, stability, and yield substantial economic and commercial achievements across the region. It is a result of a brave vision of our leaders, vision of peace, breaking off from the world of yesterday to a better world tomorrow, combined with creative statecraft, expedient execution, and hard work of many diplomats and officials from the United States of America, the UAE, and Israel. Israel and the UAE are two nations that have a lot in common. Both societies are driven by vision, innovation, and thrive on the usage of new technologies. The UAE and Israel are home to some of the world's most promising startups. Israel and the UAE already share a world view on the region, but it's not only two small and very ambitious states that thrive in impossible conditions. It's first and foremost a long-term people-to-people connection, supported by governments who are determined to make every effort to assist the business connections. Food security is emerging as a key area in which the UAE and Israel can cooperate. Both Israel and the UAE were similar in its climate, desert lands, and scarce water resources, with UAE importing more than 90% of its food and beginning to boost its food and water security. In the past few years, Israel can cooperate with the UAE in the agriculture sector in order to enhance both countries' relative advantages and experiences. Israel is particularly strong in food technology and innovation. Israel has a large ecosystem of food tech companies with many partnerships with research institutions and universities. We know that the UAE consumers were increasingly seeking healthier, innovative, and sustainable food products. In addition, Israel has strong expertise in agri-tech with advanced water and fertilizer irrigation, allowing the country to maximize the production efficiency of agricultural products. From growing fruits and vegetables to jointly using health tech to combat COVID-19 and cooperation in space, there is no limit to what Israel and the Emirates can do together. Both Israel and the UAE are countries that created a modern, innovative present that relies on a strong connection to the cultural traditions of the past. Now, laying the foundations for working together for a prosperous future, we must remember that this is not about a fast deal, but rather about building a long-term win-win relationships that will strengthen the economies of both countries and transform the lives of millions in our countries and region. The leaders of our countries have set the vision. It is now up to all of us, in the government and in the private sector, to make it a successful reality. We need to create a better future together. We, the people, our countries and nations, will be at the depth as they pave the road for us here to take, to make peace, to cooperate, to build and create a different reality, a reality based on the people-to-people, business-to-business relations, state-to-state, all in order to create a critical mass of what we call bilateral relations. I'll finish here by saying, blessed are the peacemakers. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו. הסלאמו עליכום וברכת אללה עלינה.
Next on stage is Dr. Ami Appelbaum, Chairman of the Israel Innovation Authority and Chief Scientist of the Ministry of Economy and Industry.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here in the Cukierman conference again. This conference is a very special one following the Abraham Accord signature between United Arab Emirates and Israel, and a very special event discussing the food security, which is two global topics that everyone is interested around the globe. And I think the two countries, United Arab Emirates and Israel, has a lot of opportunity to contribute to make the world a better place to live. I'm Dr. Ami Appelbaum, and I'm the Chief Scientist in the Ministry of Economy and Industry, and also the Chairman of Israel Innovation Authority. Israel Innovation Authority is a government entity that objective and vision is to grow Israel innovation to address and to prosper Israel economy. We are supporting Israel industry as well as looking forward for future growth and future innovation and making Israel as a technology leader globally. We are complementing the private sector, and we are not replacing the private sector. We are looking as a government where there are market failure, where the private sector is not addressing. For example, the whole issue of regulation, that the private sector heavily depend on regulating a new technology and new applications, and the government need to address the regulations of those new activities. Also, we are addressing the future 5-10 years technology where the private sector still don't see the value or the return on the investment in building infrastructure that is not producing revenue yet. For example, quantum technologies, which is very critical a scientific topic that will be implemented in the next 5 and 10 years. But today, there is not much return, and other than the giant companies like Google and Apple who are investing in quantum technology, the private sector is still don't see the value. So that's where the government coming in and addressing those areas. We are addressing a product in all product life cycle in the economies. So we are looking into entire spectrum of companies with no priorities, either if it is robotics or semiconductor or transportation or medical equipment. Every entrepreneurs who come and say we have a great idea or companies, we are willing to evaluate it, and if we see the value in terms of breakthrough technology, creating jobs, and growing globally, we are supporting that product. And we are looking into a very early on phase of product development, which is still in the academia, and we are looking into technology transfer. We're looking to build infrastructures, and then also entrepreneurs and startups, and followed by growing the market with investing in SME and even large companies, as long as there are a breakthrough technology that can make a major difference. So we are, as I said, looking where there are market failures. For example, very early stage enterprise, pre-seed and seed. The shortage of specific talent, for example, now there is a shortage of talent in artificial intelligence. So we as a government looking to advance those education either in the academia or outside the academia. Also, we are looking how to make the technology in Israel addressing the future vectors, where the technology will go 5 and 10 years from now. One of the area that is has a very different business model than ICT, and the software and application for software is life science. As you all know, life science being pharma or food, or agri-tech, agriculture, has a much, much longer life cycle to develop the product, much more expensive and require different approach. Those one of the area that we are focusing now and inviting companies to come and to bid on call for project, for applications that we publish frequently. We invested about $140 million just in 2017, and that number is continued to grow. We have more than 500, almost 580 companies, and in the food tech and agriculture, and among the 50 largest companies globally, Israel is a home for 10 of them. So we are definitely having multiple companies in the agriculture, in the food tech, world leader companies. We are splitting our activities in the international arena into 3 stages, I would say. One is incubators in food tech and agri-tech. The second, which means very early stage, pre-seed and seed. And then on the other side of the development, we are going where product is already done in the development, but you need to test it and to see in the how it works on the marketplace. So that's the pilot program. We also come up with a consortia where multiple competing even company getting together to develop a basic technology or generic technology, and we are sharing, those companies share the know-how that the government paid for, share for among them, including the academia. So the consortia always composed of multiple private sector companies and academia, and they develop a new product that then they can share the know-how in their home-based companies. We are having a multiple example of those agriculture and food companies. You can see in the agri-tech, we're funding crops and agri-task and OCO and so on. We also have in the food tech, yes, there is this hargol, which is a creature that is very, very rich in protein, and it's a very advanced way to develop protein. There is also a cultivated meat, alpha farms, which mean you started from the nucleus cells of live animals, but only the embryo cells and stem cells, and not the entire cow. So you can actually grow in the lab or in the factory a whole steak, if you like, without having to raise the cattle and to slaughter the cattle, and so on and so forth of agri-tech companies. The international collaboration that we have is a 5 binational funds with Korea, Singapore, Canada, US, and India. And we can think of to create binational funds with United Arab Emirates. We also have a multinational company collaboration, very large company, $1.5 billion companies who want to collaborate with Israeli ecosystem. As long as the MNC, multinational company, can provide in-kind services or to fund some of the projects, they are welcome to join this agreement. And as I said, we have a pilot program, and we are part of the European Horizon corporations, which is just ended, or Horizon 2020, and now the Horizon 21 is starting. So we are heavily involved in the international market, and specifically with the United Arab Emirates. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Industry and Advanced Technology Ministry. We also have a MOU with Abu Dhabi with ADIO, and agreed to conduct pilot in healthcare, agriculture, and food security. And also with Dubai, we have a memorandum of understanding for artificial intelligence, robotics, smart cities, and health. So with that, I would like to wish you a very successful and constructive and productive meeting. And everyone who is interested for more information, feel free to contact us or go online into Israel Innovation Authority. Thank you.
And now for the panel discussion on how the Israeli agritech sector helps address UAE food security challenges. We have Gadi Ravid, the CEO of Cukierman & Co. Investment House, moderating this panel, who will introduce the rest of the panelists.
Good morning, everyone. Sabah al-Khair. I'm Gadi Ravid, the CEO of Cukierman & Company Investment House. I have some great distinguished guests with me, the panelists on this very interesting morning, which is the food security webinar of Israel and UAE. I'd like to introduce to you Oshat Maya, who's the CFO of Middle East Africa of a well-known company called Netafim. Next is Mr. Raju Menon, who is the chairman and managing partner of Creston Menon, a 300-employee company in UAE, who's been very active in facilitating businesses between UAE and the rest of the world. Also with us is Salvatore Lavallo from the Abu Dhabi Investment Office. Salvatore Lavallo is with us, and he is joining us now from Abu Dhabi. And next to me is Yair Geva, who is a partner at a small, but actually the largest law firm in Israel called Herzog Fuchs Neiman. So again, good morning to all. Sabah al-Khair. I'd like to start this very interesting and exciting discussion. I'll start with you, Oshat. I've been traveling all around the world in places like China and elsewhere, and whenever they meet me, they know about Albert Einstein, and they know about the fact that Jewish people may be good business people, and they also know about Netafim. Can I ask you what has made Netafim so special and so popular over the last 50 years?
I think Netafim's secret is about who we are. We started as a farmers. We are farmer first and innovator second. So we begin our journey 50 years ago in the kibbutz community in the Negev desert in Israel. And I think that the struggle we had to grow a crop in the dry and sandy soil inspired us to think differently and to find new way to grow. And we didn't have a huge water reserve, and we learned to grow, with little water as possible. And this is how actually we pioneered the drip irrigation, a solution that actually made us the larger irrigation company in the world. So I think the fact that we are farmers and we are really understanding our customer, where they are coming from, we are gathering, all the insights from the field, understanding each grower's needs. So our engineering can design innovative and reliable irrigation product that ease the work and maximize the result for each and every farmer anywhere in the world. And over the years, one of our strategy was to become as close as possible to our customers, to our farmers, and to transfer our knowledge and to support them with agronomical knowledge, technical support, and all the knowledge that we gained during these 50 years. And I can tell you that today we have 5,000 employees, 33 subsidiaries, 17 manufacturing plants. We are present in 110 countries. We obtain 30% market share, and we have over 2 million customers in 6 different continents. And I think actually our story is what made us who we are today.
Wow, so your story may be also the story of Israel. I mean, there's something that's called in economics the curse of natural resources. Sometimes when you don't have resources, you got to come up and create your own, you got to create your own solutions. Now, when you say that you have all these offices all around the world, I'm assuming you also have an office in the UAE, and if that is the case, what is your actual strategy in UAE?
So I would say that regarding the UAE, we are now in a process of establishing our office in the UAE. We are always on the line, as you know, the flight is very short, so we are taking flights very often. But now we are in a process of establishing our subsidiary there. I would say that the normalization agreement created a big opportunity for Netafim to penetrate to a new market. Our strategy, of course, is to accelerate this momentum and to create strong partnerships in order to develop the agriculture in the region. In the GCC countries, we strongly believe in real partnerships. We are not just selling goods, and this is part of our strategy. We are providing an holistic solution. We support our customer from start to success. If it's, we are starting from the project initiation to the planning, and then to the execution, to the operation and to the knowledge transfer. We are here to support the success of our farmers by providing them a wide range of services, agronomical knowledge, training, capacity building, technical assistance, financing solution where it's needed, and so on and so forth. And I can say that we already started to create a strong connection with a big local player in the UAE and in the GCC countries. And we understand that we are facing with very, very advanced and sophisticated partners. So we believe they will adapt to the most innovative top-edge technology that we can offer, such as digital farming, for example, what we are calling irrigation with the brain. We believe that in farming and everywhere in life, for that matter, the more you know, the more you grow. So our automation and data technology are taking farmers to a whole new level of farming. By fully integrating and automating the entire irrigation loop, we are helping the farmer to make better decisions. By reducing, of course, the inputs and saving money on resources such water, labor, energy, so on and so forth. And this cloud technology can be used by the mobile platform. And of course, with increased insight come increase in profitability. And as we observe it now, we really believe that this can be a game changer for a farmer in the UAE. I would say that we also observe that part of the investor in the UAE and in the GCC countries as a business and investment outside of the UAE, like in Africa, for example, in Europe, etc. It's not that they are just growing in the UAE. They have investment outside of the country, and I think it's perfectly matched to our global presence, which allows us to support a key account in the same partner worldwide.
That's very interesting. So you're actually looking at UAE as a gateway to even expand more and take a bigger market share around the world. Very, very interesting. I'd like to move to our next guest, Mr. Raju Menon, who's the chairman and managing partner of Creston Menon. Raju, you are a 300 employee company. You've been around for many years. You're doing everything from accounting services to consulting, helping big companies, multinationals, as well as small companies enter the UAE. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Creston Menon, what it is that you do, and how you actually help companies, and specifically food companies who want to go to UAE?
Sure. Creston Menon is an auditing, accounting, business and management consulting firm based in the UAE. We have 9 offices, 300 plus people are working, and we are part of Creston International, headquartered in UK, and 23,000 people are working with Creston International. 700 offices are there. It's spread over 110 countries, ranked 13th largest in the world. And related to the food, agriculture and water chain, we had worked with many companies like farms, food manufacturing, packaged fresh food, distribution, food packaging materials, food specialty, chemicals, technology, etc. We have a company called Creston Menon Corporate Services, This is there for last 27 years. When we have born in UAE, the same time Preston Menon Corporate Services also established along with Preston Menon Chartered Accounting auditing firms. And this is headed by a partner. He's a senior partner among us. And there are 10 people working, and we have set up about 7,000 plus companies in the UAE. So we have that kind of experience. And we have offered services of incorporation, that is company setup, accounting, auditing, internal audit, and the VAT consultancy, GRC, and so on. And name few clients, I would say that the Pepsi, Hooligan International, Godiva, Strategic Food International, Farm Fresh, Britannia, Cukierman Flexible Packaging, Arabian Farms, Alain Farms, Kineko Farm, and many. So that's what our experience related to, and the entire setting up process we do, identifying the legal structure, to registration, to licensing, to hand-holding an investor, to start their activity and taking it forward. We help them to establish themselves in UAE. This is what we do. And identifying the land is another thing for an agricultural activity. That also we do. And agricultural activity, something, the land is a long-term lease only given. You cannot buy land, so that we are negotiating with the landowners and the facility owners. And like that, we also help the companies in the free zones when they wanted to establish a company, a distributor in the mainland. Then, we get all the approvals for them in the mainland. So there are various authorities involved for that. So we help them. Why it is so? Because when a company is established in the free zone, normally what happens, they are allowed to service only in the free zone or internationally. They cannot use UAE as their customers. So that when they wanted to do it, either they have to appoint a distributor or they themselves have to go and establish their own company. It is a requirement. So we assist them, we help them, all these services. This is what we do.
Okay, Raju, thank you very much. You actually make life a lot easier for many of those investors who want to come to UAE, or companies that want to come to UAE. Could you maybe say a few words about the complications and the bureaucracy around the PJSC model and the 3PL logistics? What is it exactly that you can do or help around those commercial companies law?
Yeah, definitely. The main issue what was having for the foreign investors, before it was the block of 51% shareholding with UAE nationals. So that was a must before. And in 2018, they have opened up the FDI, the FII and FDI investments, so that the foreigners are allowed to come and invest here. But however, what happened? Only 122 segment open. That is one in manufacturing, another is in agriculture, the third is the service sector. Even though that was done like that, and there was a block, because commercial company law does not permit again that 100% ownership. So it was there for last 2 years, the bureaucracy issue was there, but I would say it's not a bureaucratic issue, but it's a legal issue. Then, however, in 2020, they have opened up in such a way that the Article 10 of Commercial Companies Act amended so that 100% ownership is also allowed for certain of the categories, the manufacturing, in agriculture and services. This is what they have done it. Otherwise, there are not major bureaucracy in other democratic countries you can see. That kind of bureaucracy is not here. When things to be done, it is so fast. But only the legal formalities, we have to observe. That's all. And I want to tell you that in the free zones, certain of the free zones, they have been giving the license within a day even. That's the kind of fastness it was. And probably now it takes only maximum week to 10 days will be able to establish the thing if things are proper and fine.
That's cool. That's very interesting. So basically that means that you're probably ranked very high, UAE's ranked very high on the ease of doing business. You know, they always have these tables and ranks, and that's very encouraging. Could you maybe, Raju, give us just one very brief example, maybe a case study of how you've been able to maneuver and help both sides of a cross-border transaction? Maybe you have like a classic case that you can share with us.
With regard to which area, you know, do you think the distribution, do you think manufacturing or anything else?
Yes, any one of these would be good. Manufacturing and distribution, just a classic case of how your firm
I would
has
say,
been able to do it.
definitely. You know, I remember that there is one case in a large farm, fresh meat producer, the fresh chicken producer in Saudi Arabia. They wanted to expand their business into Abu Dhabi, and we have been helping them in such a way that from feasibility study, you know, that's one of the first requirement, because when somebody is involved with the manufacturing or production, you know, you need to have the feasibility study. So this is our forte also. Feasibility study is our forte also. So that, you know, we have been involving for that. Then the second area is the identification of the land. Because it's a fresh chicken, then, you know, then proximity to the market has to happen. The same time, in the city, vicinity of the city, you know, the availability of land is not there. So then, but, you know, we could really find the proper place, proper land to establish, so that, you know, we helped the owners to identify the land, and thereafter the process happens. The process is something, you know, the approval process. That is Ministry of Climate Change and Environment is the first one. Why environment related? Because the waste management. You need to see that waste management has to happen. And same time, the fresh chicken, the climate change and environment is a regulating the department. Then industrial bureau is their involvement. This also we have already come across with that. And municipality is another another organization. Then industrial affairs section, the Ministry of Economy, and then finally is the customs authority. Customs authority in two parts. One is that, you know, fodder, you know, is a must, and the pricing of the fodder is very important. So when customs duty is there on fodder, normally what happens, you know, the price will be more for the fresh chicken. So what we have done, the customs clearance we have done related to that. Fodder is a customs duty exemption has been created, and also we have done the duty exemption for a heavy industrial equipment. That also, you know, duty is exempted. And finally, what we did, this license we did it as a national industrial license. National industrial license, the requirement is something like that. This has to be a GCC license. You know what is the advantage of the national industrial license? The import duty is free, and also the export, when they do it to GCC countries, there they don't need the purchaser, buyer need not pay the duty. That is the beautiful part of the national industrial license. Now at the moment, the even 100% owned companies are allowed to have national industrial license. So these are all the things we have done it as an example. I can bring it.
Good. This is terrific. I'm sure you have plenty of examples, but I do want to move now to Salvatore Lavallo, who is the head of the foreign direct investment of the Abu Dhabi Investment Office. Tutto bene, Salvatore Lavallo, how are you? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Abu Dhabi Investment Office and how you are involved with food security.
Yep, absolutely. Happy to be here. So the Abu Dhabi Investment Office is the central government hub to attract private investment into. So we are here to promote Abu Dhabi as an investment destination. We attract companies into Abu Dhabi that are looking to set up a physical presence, facilitate the growth that are in Abu Dhabi or expanding to Abu Dhabi. Some of the ways that we do this is through financial incentives, where we give companies rebate incentives on the some key cost centers that they would be incurring in Abu Dhabi, such as high payroll, high-tech capex. We also look at cost competitiveness areas such as land lease, utility costs. We're really able to be quite bespoke with individual companies and see what can move the needle and be, kind of reduce the barriers for them to enter. Then we have our non-financial incentive. We have investor consideration, which really does an end-to-end hand-holding, establishing in Abu Dhabi. Like I mentioned earlier, business, Gadi is #1 in the world. Brazil is #2, 35th in the world. So we work together the two easiest places to do business in the Middle East together. We also have relationship managers that are assigned to each company that we are working with to make sure that they are updated on all the changes that are happening, on any new government initiative that can support them. And then we also have ecosystem enablement. So in any of the key sectors that we're focusing on, we make sure that we bring together all of the government players that are involved from a strategy point of view, from a policy point of view, from an executing and an operating point of view. We're all aligned in order to have a one Abu Dhabi approach, so you don't have to speak to 8 different entities to understand what's happening, that you have that one-stop shop within the government that can support the journey. Also want to make sure that we're full menu of options are available. So we like to say that what you might know about Abu Dhabi likely isn't wrong. It may just be old. We've been changing so much in the past years. I've been in the Emirates for about a decade now. Before that, I was living in Tel Aviv, and it's been amazing just to see how much has changed in these 10 years, but also in the last year or so, all of the movement that has happened, that has helped businesses to succeed and to grow, that has helped it to be one of the best places to live. It's the safest city in the world for the past 40 years to grow. So we're always happy to help any company that's expanding. We can do so very individualized and look specifically at what a company needs. And then we do so with the entire weight of the Abu Dhabi government, making sure that we are fully aligned. Specifically to agriculture, it's been one of the key sectors that we've been focusing on. So we launched a 1 billion dirham agriculture fund in 2019. We have allocated about $150 million of that, and we are in 7 different companies, 3 which are indoor vertical farming, and 4 of which are precision agriculture and irrigation, fertilizer, in aquaculture, and also 1 in space agriculture. So we're looking at agriculture from a lot of different angles. We're able to see different ways that we can support the companies financially to bring them here, but also by connecting them with offtake agreements, connecting them with the more overarching strategy, and trying to really build a hub of support in desert and arid climate agriculture. So we've been doing a lot as the Abu Dhabi government, specifically within the investment office, and we're looking forward to do a lot more in 2021 and working with our neighbors.
Okay, Salvatore, thank you. That's terrific. So you've been in Tel Aviv, you've lived in Tel Aviv, you now have lived in the UAE. I do want to ask you though, when you talk about food security, there are certain issues that are more sensitive, and you gave some examples, but what is the big fund that you spoke about, the $1 billion fund, then the $150 million that you have deployed? Has that been into local companies, or could it also be deployed into joint ventures between some of the local companies and some of the outside players?
Yeah, so it's a 1 billion dirham fund, which is $270 million. That. And of the 7 companies that we have publicly announced, there are 3 that were already located in the UAE and were expanding their operations, and then 4 others that are coming from abroad, 3 from the United States and 1 from India. And so we're able to look at any company that is new to Abu Dhabi, or a company that's already within the UAE that is looking to expand. In terms of the legal structure that a company would have, if it's a JV with a local partner, if it's a growing company that is putting a presence in Abu Dhabi, we're able to look at it really in any way. We're quite flexible.
Understood. Okay, thank you. We'll come back to you in a few minutes, and I'd like to move now to my last panelist and guest, Yair Geva, who's a partner at the M&A at the Herzog Fuchs Neiman. That's the largest law firm in Israel. They're all around the world. It's not surprising that they're also in UAE. So welcome, Yair.
How are you, Chagai?
Yeah, pretty good. And please tell us, why UAE and why food, and how did you get to this place?
All right, so I actually got to the UAE before the curve 3 years ago or so, when we were engaged by a local family, one of the ruling families, to help the family invest into Israeli technology, whether agri-tech, pharma, medical, etc. And over time, I became very involved in the region. At that time, I was traveling by, my U.S. passport. Now I can enter with my Israeli passport. And over time, we got really engaged with the local families, family offices, funds, helping people do business with Israel. Food security is probably the hottest subject now. I traveled a couple of weeks ago with the JVP delegation to Abu Dhabi and Dubai. We had two great companies in that delegation, Agrint and InnovaPro, which are doing a chickpea protein, that's InnovaPro, and Agrint, who are dealing with a specific disease that attacks palm trees. And those companies and others are helping the UAE, achieve independence in terms of the food consumption and food production. And the idea is to produce higher quantities of food at better quality.
High quantities of food of better quality, and also special foods, right? I mean, chickpeas is not only quality, but it's also supposed to be very healthy. I think the growth in chickpeas in the world has been immense over the last 10, 20 years because people have figured out that it's actually very healthy. We should have learned from our neighbors this many, many years ago, but we're learning now. Can you tell us a little bit about the VC and the PE community and how you guys get involved? What kind of deals are you looking to advise on? And how do you benefit the cross-border transactions?
Absolutely, but not before we finish the chickpea issue. So what I learned about chickpeas is, first, it's one of the most ancient foods, right? And unlike soybeans, which have the same protein capacity, there are no allergies to chickpeas, and they are not genetically modified, and hence they are a great material for food production. The challenge, of course, is because they are not modified, they are more costly. And this is exactly where food security and ag tech and food tech become very viable and important. Now, going back to the question about the VC and private equity funds, look, I think what people are, there's a bit of misperception and conception here in Israel. In the UAE, what you have mainly are very large, strong VCs that have been investing in Western countries for more than 3 decades now, and have not done, by the way, that much of investments. And they act like any other Western, let's say, US venture capital or private equity fund. Okay, they are looking at deals from the perspective of financial gain, return, and vision. Okay. The family offices in the VC, in the smaller VCs in the UAE, are less likely to be able to analyze technology deals in Israel at the moment. They're often too small to have that analysis capability of what we have more in Israel, which are more tech-driven companies with less market and sales at that time. So I think that it's very interesting and important to understand that at the moment, the type of deals we're going to see, and we're going to see them now this quarter, right? There was a decision at the highest levels in the UAE not to start investing before 21 began. The first deals we're going to see are large check deals from those larger PE and VC funds in the UAE. I do not think we're going to see that much of early stage investments from those family offices and smaller VCs. This will take a bit of time until we have more focused, specialized venture capital funds. Some of them are being formed at the moment, which will start investing in the more early stage type of deals that we have, I guess, in abundance here in Israel.
Right. So we have an abundance of early stage companies, and you're saying that actually we're going to start with the larger companies. And my concern is that, the big, larger companies in food in Israel, I mean, the Tevas of food in Israel are probably handful, not more than a handful. So, I don't know if the offering is going to be that compelling and enticing to the UAE PEs.
It's a good point, but look, the fact of the matter is that over the last year, as you know, and Salvatore had mentioned this huge growth in the last year, what we've seen happening in Israel too is the growth of the unicorns, right? So we have now 44 unicorns here in Israel, or Israeli-related unicorns. A few of them have been just formed recently in the last few months, and I think we're going to see an explosion of those companies. And I think over time you're going to have more targets for larger checks from the UAE. Now, you mentioned what kind of companies they'll be looking for. Listening to Oshrat before, Oshrat represents and heads one of the probably the most famous, as you said, Chagai, precision farming and irrigation companies in the world. And that's exactly what we're going to see happening, as Salvatore had mentioned. We're going to see precision farming. We are now working actually on indoor farming and vertical farming products and companies. Those are all very relevant to the dry soil, the sandy soil of the UAE, as well as for Israel. And I think over time we are going to see more interest in those smaller early stage deals. I think it's extremely important to realize that in the UAE, and that's a bit similar to China. I used to live in Shanghai and spent a lot of time doing China-Israeli deals before this move to the UAE. Like Salvatore, I change location once in a while. We're going to see very similar method, which is the UAE is interested in importing technologies and tech transfer. It's not just about the financial gain. So there will always be this perspective of how this technology is relevant and can be interesting to the UAE. And as Oshrat had mentioned, not just the UAE, but the GCC as a whole and the relevant countries, the neighboring countries.
Very interesting. So I grew up on a slogan that says it's not about the money, it's about the money. You're actually telling me that that's not the case in UAE, that they have more of a holistic, they have a big picture view. They're not like, banging, making an investment, hoping to make a home run and move on. That's very unusual. Actually, that's very encouraging. I like this. And I think that a lot of Israeli companies would also like this.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. The thinking is strategic, right? They have the 2050 vision, how they become totally oil independent and unrelated and undependent on the oil production and the gas production. I think they will be there, by the way, faster than that. Dubai is already there. And as such, the thinking is strategic. How you develop an ecosystem, how you develop strategic alliances and larger companies in the long term. And that's extremely interesting for us in Israel.
Right. Okay, very nice. I'd like to move back to Oshrat. I mean, we still have a few minutes. Oshrat, you have, again, you've spearheaded this. You started, the company Netafim started from the very basic, from the ground up. You are an A to Z, a one-stop shop. You know what the farmers need. And now the question that I have to you is, both for UAE, but also generally, how do you compete with competition? How do you confront competition? Is there an issue for Netafim? Do you try to keep the cards close to your chest? Or do you let go and do you always concentrate and focus on the next generation products and services?
So first, I think competition. It's healthy. It's healthy to the market. It's healthy to the agricultural sector. So we are encourage competition, and our strategy, as I mentioned before, is to transfer our knowledge to customer, and we face it by innovation. As I mentioned, we are always trying to be one step ahead and to be very innovative in what we are doing. Providing an holistic approach, and as I mentioned, it's not just selling goods to the customer, it's having a totally holistic approach in order to be a real partner of our customers. So it's not that we are talking about this product or that product in comparison, we are talking about partnership. And I think it's, as you said, not just in the UAE, but also in the UAE, it's part of our strategy is to partner with the local player in order to achieve, mutual benefits. So, and I think, if you take the UAE, for example, and the challenges that they are facing there, and Yair mentioned a few of them, but they are relying mainly on importing, and most of the food is producing locally now. 90% of the food is producing locally, and also the COVID and their aim for 2050 to become more and more independent. I think that Netafim fits exactly to this point, and taking into consideration the environment that they are facing, the trinity: extreme climate condition, lack of land, lack of water resources, and it's exactly our solution, and it's exactly how we started our Netafim, born in the same environment, desert-like agriculture. And this is why I think we can help them grow more with less. And coming back to what Yair said, I think at the end the solution must be combination. It must be economic. Of course, we are here to support the scarcity, the food scarcity challenge, but it must be also economic. In order to make sure it will be sustainable for the long run, we want the private sector and the governmental sector. We want the model to work. We want it to be economically benefit, and I think this is what we are doing. This is what we are doing, and this is why it can be sustainable for the long run, because we are making sure that our solution is also economic-wise, and we can have a very strong and fruitful collaboration while transferring our knowledge that we gained in the last 50 years by building local capacity in order to support the agriculture in the GCC region.
Okay, great, thank you. So you're always trying to be one step ahead, and you're always always thinking on how you're going to share your new generation products with your future clients. It's very encouraging. I want to go back to Raju. Raju, you have been so active. You have, as he said, 300 employees. You're all over the world, and you're in a very populated country called India. There's a corridor between UAE and India where you are highly active. Billions of dollars are being exchanged. How can Israel fit here, if at all? And maybe you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Before I get into this question, let me just tell you about the PJC, the private joint stock company in UAE. This private joint stock company establishment, you up to 200 members can join. When I look at the list, when you are provided, I have seen that a food manufacturer is there, 3PL logistics provider is there, specialty chemical manufacturer, food technologist, food software company, and innovation and R&D center, beverage manufacturer, packaging business. So the whole team can join together and form a private joint stock company in UAE without a local participation. So it means 100% ownership. And this company can attract investment from UAE nationals and the other countries like India and all. So coming back to your question related to the India, India and UAE has got the food production and the manufacturing of the not manufacturing, but but agriculture part in India. It has been done so much, and I wanted to tell you something related to the 2050-51 policy. What UAE has got. This 2051 policy, it's a food adequacy of the food and the food safety. That's what to be ensured by the UAE government. So as part of that, they have been investing certain of the countries, and they found that these investments, small way and large way, they have been doing. So how they have been doing it? It is that looking into the country risk. So they have considered India as a low country risk, so that the India, $7 billion investment they have already done, and the commitment is there more. There are three. The investment $5 billion investment is focused on the mega food parks, logistics and warehouse hubs, then fruits and vegetable hubs, and in various Indian cities. So then, it is in investment in Kutch, Kutch, there's a place called Kutch, and that's in Gujarat. And also Aurangabad, Bhiwandi in Maharashtra, then in Madhya Pradesh also they have done already. And other than that, there are 3-4 states, they have been trying to do at the moment. And apart from that, there is a company called MR here. You know that MR is the real estate developer, and they have been involved for developing Burj Khalifa project. And they have contributed a sizable share to the GDP of Dubai. And now, as a part of diversification, they have been involved with the $2 billion project in India with regard to the food and agricultural products. And they have already gone to the different side, the Meghalaya and the other part also, they have started investing. And the another corporate side investment going to India is DP World. DP means Dubai Property. Dubai Property World is the setup what they are using for the international investment. They use this corporate. So this DP World and DMCC, Dubai Multi Commodity Center, this is also involved. These two corporates are really investing into India now, and there is a link, Agriota link has been created, which directly links farmers in India and food companies in UAE. So that's the kind of relationship they have already established. And Israel, when we come back to Israel, Israel has partnered with Punjab and Meghalaya on setting up centers of excellence. In the technological support, the agricultural technological support is already provided in Meghalaya. East Kashi hills of they have for vegetables, they have already invested, and at the East Garo hills for citrus fruits, they have already invested. And as you all know that a regional council in Negev desert in Israel are in talk with UAE to develop the desert cultivation agriculture for the crop, the strawberries, blueberries, and tomatoes. So that's the kind of the unity is being done in between the UAE and Israel also. At the same time, India has got connectivity with Israel. So, the UAE can be considered as a corridor from the Israel to the India. So jointly, India, Israel, and UAE can do much in India for the food safety for UAE and also the worldwide. So that is possible.
Right. So that's like the joke. Together we will be the most populated group in the world, right? India, UAE, and Israel, probably number 1 or number 2 in the world if you combine all our the population of all those 3 countries. But realistically speaking, you're saying that this corridor can benefit all 3 countries, and again, that's very encouraging. I want to move back to Salvatore Lavallo again to try and ask you to zoom in on the key technologies that you are actually focusing on in Abu Dhabi, the Abu Dhabi Investment Office. What are the key technologies and within the food security that you are zooming in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have kind of 2 main goals within the government of Abu Dhabi when it comes to agriculture. The first is food security, and within the food security, we can look at bringing new technology to local production. So that would be looking at the 24,000 farms that already exist in Abu Dhabi, seeing how we can upskill them through new types of precision agriculture, new types of irrigation, fertilizers, seeds, different inputs that would help the existing farmers. The second thing within food security then would be looking at like new forms of production. So that could be indoor farms, vertical farms, also alternative proteins or cell-based meats that are being produced. So looking at new ways of producing food. One important part, when we're looking at food security is that we feel like the problem of food security is a global one. It is increasingly affecting other countries around the world. And we feel like because we have the resources to try and tackle this problem, we're not only looking at solutions that are relevant within the UAE and within Abu Dhabi, but solutions that can then be exported from Abu Dhabi to the world. The second goal within agriculture is on desert and arid climate agriculture. So there's a lot of overlap between the two, but again, a third of the world is desert and arid climates. That's an increasing number. A lot of the countries that have a similar climate or do not have the resources to do the research and development to find ways to produce food under such like intense weather patterns. And so we're looking at technologies that can really provide Abu Dhabi to become a hub for desert and arid climate agriculture. And again, not just to institute that here within our own farms, but to be able to export that around the world. So those are our two main goals. Within that, we're really looking at any technology that can address the goals, and we're able to be really, as I said before, individualized with each company and see what can move it. So we're really a market catalyzer, able to push these technologies forward within the Emirates and around the world.
Okay, that's very interesting. So you're saying 1/3 of the world is actually desert, but that does not necessarily mean that 1/3 of the world population lives in deserts. Nevertheless, you're saying that there is enough demand or future demand that what is currently developed in Abu Dhabi, hopefully with Israeli technologies, can then be marketed to other desert areas where there's still need for these kinds of solutions.
Yeah, so I mean, actually, it was referring to the population. So right now, there's actually an issue that by 2030 we expect that 50% of the world's population will be living in areas of high water stress. Right, this is from the strategy of the United Nations, and so we are looking not at the world area, but looking broadly at how this is affecting the population of the world and increasing parts of it. So looking at new ways to be sustainable in terms of water, reducing waste, and increasing on the supply chain to make sure that we are able to get this food to all the people that require it.
Right. Okay. So obviously, when we talk about food security, we move into water shortages and water stress, and that's when these solutions that are currently being developed in Abu Dhabi, hopefully again with Israeli technologies, can benefit a lot of the other countries and the demand that's emanating from those 1/3, or you're saying 50% in 2030, 50% of the population around the world. I want to move back to you, Yael. So why, what has actually brought you to UAE, and what has actually prompted this whole love affair that you have actually developed with UAE? Question number one. And question number two, maybe you can actually start with question number two. What should someone do when they first move to UAE? Do they need to find a JV partner, or do you have any other suggestion? Maybe just try their luck?
Sure. No, it's a great question, actually. And I think Oshrat here and Raju have alluded to the potential routes that one can take, right? So, the instinct of at least of Israeli companies to go and find a partner, right? They're saying, look, unless it's a big established company like Netafim and others. So those earlier stage or smaller companies are saying, look, it's expensive. We don't know the ground. We rather find a partner and start operations there with that partner. That's the instinct of most of the companies that approach us. I look at this a bit differently. I mean, partnering is great. I'm just saying that you want to do it on an educated basis, right? I think that Oshrat had said that to know is to grow, right? So to me, look, Dubai is 3-4 hours, 2-3 hours of flight. From here, it's an inexpensive flight. It's also an inexpensive place to do business, relatively. And as such, my recommendation is first go there, test the water, perhaps look at one of the free zones. Raju had mentioned those changes to the law, right? So these days you can actually open your own shop, 100% owned by yourself, very easy, not that expensive, in one of the free zones in Dubai, in the DIFC, in Abu Dhabi, in Ras Al Khaimah, in any of the Emirates, and start to know people, perhaps explore the potential for benefits, governmental benefits that were mentioned here by Salvatore, and then start to understand who you want to partner with. Because one of the more interesting things and aspects of doing business to me in the UAE is the gentleman approach that people behave in the way they do business. And sometimes what I've noticed is that once you partner with that family or that type of business, you will not be as able to necessarily develop a competing relationship with others. They respect each other, they try not to compete, or if they do that, they do it gently. And as such, I think you should also take the time and explore your options on an educated basis.
So it's interesting what you're saying, because you're saying not only test the water, but actually jump into the water. You're actually saying take your bags, move there, open an office, stay there. It could be a month, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. Learn the culture, try to meet as many people, and try to make everyone relatively happy so that we're all one big family.
I don't know any other way to do business, frankly, right? So if you're not there and you're just transferring your tech to a distributor, it's not a long-term play. It has not been the case in China, in other places where Israeli companies, when the market was open, they can move in, and definitely is not the case for UAE. I would actually, one of the reasons to establish your headquarters in the UAE is your ability then to travel all across the region and have people travel for you from India to Pakistan, to Indonesia, Iraq. All those places have the same challenges that were mentioned here by Salvatore and the team. And it's necessary. It's the necessary thing to do, and that's what we've done at my firm at Herzog.
Okay, that's very interesting. An interesting approach. Salvatore, do you agree? I mean, do you think that this is what people should do in Abu Dhabi as well? Israeli companies should move, open an office in Abu Dhabi and learn a little bit, test the water, or actually jump into the water, see how this goes, and then eventually find the right partners?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, and we're here to help with any of that. So, always happy for you to contact us. You can email us at inquiries@audio.ae. We're here to help with that setup, help introduce you to the right players within the government, and make sure that you understand the full support that we're able to give. And not just thinking about it as like a sales office or networking spot, but to also think about bringing your R&D here to bring some of the smart manufacturing, and then those are the kinds of projects that we can really provide significant financial incentives to, and make it much easier for you to expand globally.
Oh, I like that word, financial incentives. A lot of Israelis are going to like that as well. I'd like to ask Raju, any other suggestion, Raju, for companies from Israel coming to the UAE that you think it would be wise? This is the opportunity to provide them with just kind of a snapshot of what they should be doing the first thing they get into the UAE.
Definitely, I would say that there are so many international people are coming here. There's lots of tourists are here, lots of business people are coming here. So that opportunity, I would say that there are opportunity, but one has to identify that opportunity, whoever may be in the business. So as Salvador, he was rightly speaking that, you can set up a company here, a small operation, then from there the test of water. These are the best way to do it. And another thing I want to tell you that there is Expo 2020. You was postponed to Expo. Now it's in 2021 it is going to happen because of pandemic issue. That the long awaited thing is going to happen only in 2021 from October. So if Israel has a pavilion there, then then Israeli companies can demonstrate their products and they can find the customers accordingly. So it's a 6 months period altogether. So 6 months period is a long time. So that by the time they can understand the people, understand the area, they understand the places, so that they will be able to get into the actual work. Whether then they can decide whether they want to establish here, or they feel that no, this is not my cup of tea. I should be out. So this is possible. So I don't know that what is the call of Israel for a pavilion. Otherwise, also I want to tell you that these people can come here because the UAE is, Dubai is expecting 25 million people to come when it was originally planned in 2020. But however, the same thing will happen in 2021 also. So we are expecting about 25 million footfall for this expo. So it's a major event and it's for 6 months. I'm sure you will be aware about it.
Right. Okay, that's great. So 2021 Expo, that's another golden opportunity for a lot of Israelis to come over to the UAE. We're, by the way, number one in the world. We're about we're number one in the world in terms of the vaccination. So of the number of people per 100, I think, by the way, UAE, Bahrain is maybe just second to us. But hopefully all of this pandemic is going to change, is going to go away, dissipate, disappear as quickly as it came, and that we will all be able to come back, meet each other face to face, shake hands, do business, and make this a better world. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Oshrat, from Netafim and Raju and Salvatore from the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, and of course Yair Geva, my colleague here from Herzog Fuchs Neiman. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been fascinating, and I hope we can do this again, and hopefully face to face in the very near future.
Next on stage, we have Nurit Ze'evi from Cukierman & Co. Food Tech and Agritech.
Welcome everybody to the first Go4UAE Food Security Online Conference. My name is Nurit Ze'evi and I'm the Managing Partner of the Food Tech and Agritech Department at the Cukierman Investment House. I would like to welcome and thank the participants from the UAE, investors, business partners, and colleagues that Zoom along with us to facilitate better food security for the UAE and for the world's 7.8 billion people growing strong. Our dedicated partners from Israel and around the world, hundreds of investors and participants that are here today, and many more that will have access to the presentations following the conference. And most of all, I would like to thank the technology companies, the hard-working visionaries who with limited resources, sleepless nights, started their companies and made magic throughout creative thinking, sophisticated science, and much dedication. What is food security? It is having access to clean water and nutritious food. Food security is made of 3 pillars that together provide with high quality yields of plants, herd and chicken products, fish, algae, and other foods. The first pillar is improving genetics and breeding. The second pillar is improving growing conditions and inputs, including water, food, temperature, and light, and protecting measurements against diseases and undesired elements. The third pillar is post-harvest solutions, including production, processing, packaging, supply chain, and storage. All companies presenting today have made a significant improvement in those pillars or with the technologies supporting them that provide precision processes, traceability, and efficiency, derived from technologies from other fields such as robotics and automation, digital sensors, IoT, AI of big data, and life science. Just 150 years ago, in 1867, when Mark Twain embarked on a pilgrimage tour to Israel, he wrote a witty journal describing his deep disappointment of the flourishing biblical land that became a desert and a God-forsaken land. He writes, "It is hopeless, dreary, heartbroken land. Palestine sits in a sackcloth and ashes. Over it broods the spell of a curse that has withered its fields and fettered its energies." Mark Twain was not the only one that wanted Israel to get back to its glory. At the same time, local Israelis and ones that came from Europe and Yemen decided that it's time to rebuild the land and established agricultural settlements all over Israel. And though indeed around 2/3 of Israel is a desert by definition, we took on the challenge to utilize the energies of the land, leading the way to develop highly efficient arid climate farming. The world population is growing in a way that without food security strategies and operation, we will not have enough water and food. Around 2000 BC, when there were only 27 million people in the world, Joseph, our forefather, launched a humongous food security operations saving Egypt and the world from hunger by growing and storing food during the 7 abundance year and using it in the following 7 years of drought. During the exodus from Egypt and the return to Israel, we began to adhere to effective food security laws for consumption and agriculture growing procedures. Many laws, including forced sabbatical of the land and law forbidding to consume fruits during the first 3 years of a tree. Another example is a law forbidding to destroy a fruit tree even if it belongs to an enemy. Ki ha'adam etz hasadeh, because mankind is like the tree of the field. On top of that, we took upon ourselves many more social agriculture laws to share crops with the poor and the misfortunate. When we established the agriculture settlements, there were 1.3 billion people in the world. Today, just 150 years later, we have additional 6.5 billion people to feed, and therefore there's much to do. Before we'll have the companies present, I would like to share with you that in 10 days from today, on the 28th of January, when the moon will be full, we will be celebrating Tu B'Shvat, the Jewish biblical holiday for the trees. And you are invited to join by doing something wherever you are towards planting, seeding, investing, and supporting a better food security future for us, for our children, for years to come. Happy Tu B'Shvat. Enjoy the conference. Thank you.
Starting the elevator pitch session, we have Anat Chalgoa Solomon, co-founder and CEO of Saturas.
Hello everyone, my name is Anat. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Saturas. I am proud to be here today to present our innovative in-tree water intelligence solution. Water is the heart of agriculture. The ag industry is the largest consumer of water, and yet irrigation is still a guessing game. You will be surprised to know that most of the farmers worldwide irrigate without any control or scientific monitoring. Since farmers don't know what the tree really feels, they usually over-irrigate just to be on the safe side. In-tree water monitoring is the key to accurate, result-based farming so farmers can increase yields and profits. Scientific internal water status data from within the tree, known as stem water potential, considered among agronomists as best indicator, but today can only be measured with a manual device, complicated procedure, and limited capacity. You can see the old manual device in the picture on the right side of the slide. Yet, the value of internal data positioned the manual device as gold standard in the industry. Saturas introduced the first miniature in-tree water monitor that is embedded in direct contact with the plant water tissue. With an average of 1 sensor per hectare, we provide online, continuous, most valuable data on what the tree really feels and allow irrigation decisions to become accurate and scientific. The advantages for farmers are clear. The ability to irrigate the precise amount that crops need will result in better yield, save water, reduce risk, and increase profit. External sensors are available in the market for decades, but they all have limitations. External solutions like aerial imaging or soil data are only rough estimation and are not what farmers need. To date, we proved high market traction and validated the pricing model with 100% recurring customers for 2021. We installed more than 1,500 units in 10 countries and in more than 10 different crops. We gained impressive case studies with the irrigation experts validating the high value of our technology. We offer annual subscription fee model for the hardware, software, and our professional services. We are fully aware that the main challenge is the growth stage. We partner with leading irrigation and ag companies that have wide and direct farmers' relations. We focus on premium crops where water management is critical. We marked top farmers in high potential markets like USA, Europe, South America, and Australia. We have business leaders in our management team with many years of experience in the irrigation industry, fully motivated and capable to execute the company business plan. We invite you to join the current funding round, seeking for $7 million to scale up sales and become the leading irrigation monitoring company. Thank you for your time, and please don't hesitate to reach out and learn more. We are looking forward to have you on board in our fascinating journey.
Next, we have Alex Kozak, co-founder and CEO of Fortifest.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me for this conference. My name is Alex Kozak. I am CEO of exciting startup Fortifest, company with groundbreaking technology of crop protection. Putting things straight, we cannot feed 9 billion people without use of efficient herbicides. Herbicides save hundreds of billions of dollars of crop losses. It's increased 2 to 3 times yield of major crops, but there is a price attached to this success. Use of herbicides lead to appearance of bad weeds resistant to herbicides. They could survive best of the available products, and if in 90s it was interesting observation, today it's a well-recognized and growing threat for global food safety, as well as to global herbicide market. Fortifest, company which I introduce you today, has exciting, groundbreaking technology of herbicides with new mechanism of action. Uniqueness of this technology, among other things, in fact, that it was not invented, it was discovered in plants. Group of scientists in Cornell University and then in the Weizmann Institute of Science and Hebrew University discovered unique mechanism of green herbicides, products produced by plants to protect themselves. And our herbicides is inspired by these green herbicides. We are focused on the development of safe and powerful products, H40, to control resistant weeds. The company now in a pretty advanced stage of development. We demonstrated proof of concept in greenhouse and field experiments. We selected product candidates emerged from our platform technology. We demonstrated acute oral safety of the lead compounds, and our technology is well protected with patent and patent application worldwide. I have 2 more slides which I keep as a reference. I will not go through them, but I just mentioned that company today is positioning for rapid growth, and we are welcome for strategic financial partners. Thank you for your attention, and I am looking forward to hear from you soon. Thank you very much.
Next on stage is Alon Blum, CEO of Live Egg.
This is an egg from a hatchery. Can you tell if it's fertile or not fertile, alive or dead, male or a female? The answer is no, but we can. Hello everybody. My name is Alon Blum and I'm the CEO of a dynamic innovative biotech startup by the name of Live Egg. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce our company. With your permission, I would like to start with a short video.
Over the last decades, game-changing technologies have totally transformed our lives. But not in the huge global poultry industry, even though it's the world's #1 protein provider. Old-fashioned, inefficient methods mean losses worth billions of dollars every year. But change is coming. From Israel, the startup nation that's helped revolutionize our world. Live Egg is a game-changing company, turning heads of world-leading producers. Thanks to its breakthrough technology, POM, poultry optimization through monitoring and prediction. POMP. It's not just a solution, it's a revolution. Finally, POMP delivers day zero fertility diagnostics, embryonic development monitoring, and in ovo sexing. Imagine the impact of optimizing global poultry production by just 1%. POMP will boost revenues by up to $10.5 billion every year. Lively is looking for impact partners for growth. Partners who want to change how we feed the world, who see how technology can make that change. Partners in a blue ocean opportunity, one that's knocking on your door right now. Live Egg, the POMP revolution for the poultry industry.
As you saw in the movie, Live Egg is the developer of the POMP technology. This electro-optical technology is the platform to develop a range of products for the optimization of processes in the global poultry business in general and hatcheries in particular. The first product that we have developed under the POMP technology is called Crystal Egg, the world's first embryo monitoring system. This system gives a very clear observation of the embryonic development inside the egg. Live Egg is a pioneer in this field. The system is already commercial and installed in hatcheries around the world. But what about the financial bottom line? Based on extensive research, POMP macroeconomical value is $10.5 billion annually. Live Egg is looking for investors who, beyond profit, are interested in making global impact and become a part of the ever-growing global food security community. If you are interested in hearing more about Live Egg, I invite you to meet us as we have so much more to share. Thank you.
Amos Goren, CEO of Amstaff UGV.
Today, we convert the HLS Amstaff into agriculture vehicle, the PlumStaff autonomous high plum vehicle to innovate the high plum works. Workers are yet old method climbing on the plum tree for the date harvest. In most of the intensive high plum works, cranes are used in tasks like spray, pollination, pruning, dilution, and harvesting. Hydraulic crane work up to 21 meter high, loading 700 kilos of 3-4 workers and fruit. Total of 13 working days for all plum tasks. UAE is the 6th largest global producer of dates. Today, UAE have more than 4 million dunams of plums. 80% of them require high tasks that require 80,000 cranes and 52 million working days. Each crane costs plus or minus $250,000. UAE can replace it with 32,000 PlumStaff and save 40 million working days. Israel has 650,000 dunam of plum that requires 13,000 cranes and more than 8 million working days. Israel can replace it with 13,000 PlumStaff and save 6 million working days. And they shall beat their sword into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Isaiah 2.4. With our artificial intelligence and image analysis system, we convert the detection of security threats to identify the flowers, dates, clusters, strains, and pest of the dates. With our decision-making process, we convert the planning of security tasks due to threat scenarios of the planning of separate high agriculture tasks due to the date's colors, and converts security implementations to guns and the fire extinguisher to accurate shoot to agriculture robotics arms for accurate and efficient task. Thank you very much for your cooperation and time. Thank you.
Next, we have Avner Shoet, owner and CEO of TapKit.
TAP is proud to present TapKit, grow your own hydroponic produce. The TapKit is an affordable hydroponic business. Our unique NFT hydroponic systems enable year-round production of high-quality leafy vegetables and fresh herbs. You only have to take care of the land preparation, and within less than a month for construction, the greenhouse is ready for planting and producing. And your small business will generate income 6 to 8 weeks later. The entire kit is delivered in a container which contains everything you need, from greenhouse foundation to produce packaging, including a 500 square meter plastic covered tunnel, hydroponic gullies and supporting frame, nursery equipment, irrigation and fertilization system, packing station with refrigeration. It also includes an advanced management app for professional day-to-day operating of the TapKit, from production and packaging to maintenance and troubleshooting. TapKits are already installed all around the globe in various climate areas with outstanding results. TapKit makes hydroponics accessible to small and medium-sized growers, amateurs and family farm, resorts, schools, community farming, organizational kitchens, and more. For the first time, hydroponic is made super simple to install, operate, and easily produce healthy and clean leafy vegetables and fresh herbs to supply the neighborhood market. So why do you need the TapKit? Because it is a smart business, an affordable investment with a short ROI. Because it is simple and easy. Easy to install, easy to operate, and no experience is needed. Because it is sustainable and it helps our planet. Because it helps people consume healthier, fresher, and safer food that is locally grown. So join us for the hydroponic revolution. TapKit, affordable hydroponic business.
Please welcome on stage Barak Melamed, founder and CEO of RealBite.
My mom was a guilt-free cooking mom. She used to spend days in the kitchen turning fresh, local ingredients into delicious, nutritious meals. I can vividly remember the smells and sights of fresh tomatoes, onions, and garlic just dancing in the kitchen's counter with the pots and pans trying to keep up with her. These days, moms just don't have the time. Today's mother's guilt complex is solved by food manufacturers, not farmers. Food manufacturers can't afford making guilt-free food or hire thousands of dancing mothers for that matter. It's all pre-processed, ultra-processed, hyper-processed ingredients thrown into a huge mixer and shoved out the door. Vitamins added in a chemical form. Micronutrients, that word is just too darn long. Real, whole, fresh ingredients has become a dream of the past. History. Until now. My name is Barak Melamed, and I am the founder and CEO of RealBite. RealBite is a true pioneer in binding and stabilizing technology. Cakes, energy bars, plant-based burgers, they all need binders and stabilizers, as the ingredients alone can't hold the mass. Not without the nasties. Our tech involves no chemicals, no ultra-processed ingredients. We discovered a way to keep the traditional method of making fresh, nutritious food and scale it up. Good old mother cooking with a culinary physics twist. We have developed and built a large-scale production line that uses local, fresh ingredients based on tweaked, off-the-shelf hardware and proprietary software to produce various dishes, from plant-based burgers to, well, sky's the limit. You're probably thinking, that's too good to be true. And at first, the Israeli Innovation Agency, which is a government agency, agreed with you. But after they've done the technical due diligence, they confirmed our tech as innovation. Which is why Strauss, Israel's largest food company, chose to place their bet on us and invest. We're treating our tech as a trade secret, with all trade secrets aspects kept. Only those who need to know are exposed, and our production line is designed as a black box. So the hush-hush hardware and software is contained and unreached to the curious soul. And yes, our black box does come in black. We're currently in deep discussions on a few commercial agreements which will slide us into the major leagues in the US. A few other countries are also being discussed. We are in the midst of completing our first factory in Ashdod, Israel, and hoping to begin sales end of 2021. Happy to share more information in a deck and a face-to-face meeting, physically or digitally. Thank you.
Next, we have David Davidov, CMO of Tevatronic.
Shalom from Israel. My name is David. I'm the CMO of Tevatronic. Today I want to introduce you to Tevatronic company and our smart solution for farming. Tevatronic company provides precision irrigation solutions. Our company was established in 2012. We have 2 granted patents, 5 employees full-time, and we have sold systems to 11 countries. From our researches, we saw that farmers irrigate less than needed, but many of them irrigate much more than needed, and by this behavior, they damage their trees, their crops, and get a bad results. All of them want to be in the optimum to irrigate in the most proper way and to get a better yields. We believe that with our system, we can help them to reach this goal. This is our 2 solutions. From the right side, this is the decision support system. Here the farmer just getting alerts from the field in real time, and this helps him to define his irrigation programs. From the left side, this is the smart irrigation control or the autonomous irrigation system. Here we can collect all the data from the field, analyze it, and to do the decision making for the farmer. This is our system's components. From the left side, the green is the tensiometer, and those are additional sensors. All the data from the sensors transmitted by radio connection to the gateway, and from the gateway to the cloud by cellular communication, while the farmer can see all the data on the mobile app or on the web interface. One additional component for the autonomous irrigation system. This is the remote valve controller, a unit that connectable to the water counter and to the solenoid valve, and it is how we can open and close the irrigation. So how it works? Water is irrigating the plant. The plant is using pressure differential to transport the water, and we use this pressure to manage the stress of the plant. After we know how to measure the plant's stress, we irrigate exactly to the active root zone. Our irrigation is based on the plant's real needs. Here the farmer defines the irrigation policy, at which stress level we will start the irrigation and to which depth we will irrigate. Then you can see in the graph of the history of the irrigation and the amount of water that was irrigated per each irrigating cycle. Our mathematical algorithm, how it works. After we start the irrigation, the algorithm calculates every 3 minutes the irrigation duration and the irrigation depth. Then we know the amount of water that should be irrigated and when we need to close the irrigation. From our researches, we saw that we are able to save to our farmers about 70% of water and to increase their yields. This is our system implemented in the field, very simple. Our system is very easy to install, very easy to maintain, wireless system, turnkey solution, irrigation control, and sensors. We are looking for partners, distributors, and investors. Thank you very much.
Moving on to Elad Shamir, CEO of Kinneret Innovation Center.
Welcome to Kinneret Innovation Center, Israel's leading tech hub in agriculture, water, and sustainability. Here in the KIC, we leverage 120 years of Israel's advanced agriculture knowledge and know-how in this unique, amazing natural environment. Our founders are Tzemach Industries and Kinneret Academic College. Tzemach Industries is one of the largest agribusiness cooperatives in Israel, managing more than 250,000 dunams with the full value chain from farm to fork in vegetation and in livestock. Kinneret Academic College is a national leader in energy, water engineering, nanotechnologies, and agrotech. With advanced labs, hundreds of researchers, IPs, and of course a vibrant, talented student community. With these powerful founders, we have created the full value chain for innovation, from research to an accelerator, incubator, an R&D center, and of course, a designated investment fund. Today, we grow and nurture a portfolio of over 30 startups that shapes a better tomorrow. From bioreactors for water treatment, organic preservant from agricultural waste, nano solutions for diabetes and obesity, precision agriculture, sensors and softwares, microalgae, alternative proteins, AI hovers for livestock industry, and many, many more. Our holistic approach enables us to connect the entrepreneurs with the researchers, the farmers, and the factories to push forward the brightest and most disruptive ideas into the market and fast. Our unique position provides us with great insights and opportunities in one hand, and on the other, enables us an ongoing due diligence and the ability to invest smartly and effectively. Kinneret Innovation Center invites you to take part in creating tomorrow's unicorns and solutions for a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Next, Eyal Udasin, CTO, Automato Robotics.
This is our sad reality. Agriculture is not sustainable. And why? Because most agricultural tasks are performed by people, but people don't want to work in agriculture anymore. It's very hard and it's boring. So farmers are having a harder and harder time finding workers while they need to produce more to keep feeding a growing population. This is the definition of unsustainable. We at Automato Robotics want to help solve the international labor crisis in agriculture by providing affordable robots for every farmer. The greenhouse market is huge, over 15 billion euros. We aim to start in Israel as a convenient testing bed and then move on to Spain as a gateway to Western Europe. We want to develop the future workforce to reinforce the human labor. We're developing robots to perform multiple agricultural tasks, and in order to do it in scale, we're making them affordable for ordinary farmers. This will allow us to become a leading agrobotics company. The cornerstone of our solution is a robot that can drive in off-road conditions and understands greenhouses. And that robot can be fitted for multiple purposes. Our first add-on is a robotic harvester for tomatoes, which is about to start 2 pilots in greenhouses, hopefully with robot unions' help as well. We also listen to our farming partners and are now developing an autonomous sprayer to keep people away from the chemicals and allow us to make an impact on even more crops. We grow through our own add-ons or with cooperations with third parties. But it's not only about the robots, it's also about the data that they collect, which allows to increase yields and detect pests and diseases early on to avoid food waste. Being a farmer is not an easy life, especially financially. So that's why all of our development meets a challenging goal of 1-year ROI and presents a 50% cost savings over a period of 5 years. Our go-to-market analysis relates to the many stakeholders in the value chain. So we already have agreements and LOIs with big end users and cooperatives as distributors that represent over 5,000 hectares in our target market. And we also have agreements with design partners, with assembly partners, etc. And we keep on growing that network because we want to hit the ground running once we become commercial. We offer a dual business model. You can either rent or buy our robots. Both models have a recurring revenue element in order to allow us faster growth. We are a very experienced team with a diverse skill set and a long track record. We have experts in AI, robotics, agriculture, and agricultural marketing. The team doubled itself in the last year. We're currently seeking 1.3 million euros in order to commercialize our robot and start wide-scale sales in Spain. We are in discussions with 2 investors and are looking for more to join the round. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Ilan Sobel, CEO of BioHarvest Sciences.
Hi, my name is Ilan Sobel, and I'm the CEO of BioHarvest Sciences. It's a great pleasure to share with you today the magic of BioHarvest Sciences and how we are changing the world. Let's first understand, who are we? We are farmers. But we're not just regular farmers. We are what we call New Age farmers. We are biofarmers. We farm in bioreactors and not in greenhouses or farms. And what do we grow? We grow your wellness. And we do this in a way without ever having to grow the plant. So how do we do this? Well, we grow plant cells. We are the biotech leaders of the plant kingdom, and we grow plant cells with critical phytochemicals or active ingredients which our human body needs to survive every day. These are antioxidants, polyphenols, cannabinoids, cosmeceuticals, and pharmaceuticals. And we do this with our patented biofarming technology. Because at the end of the day, nature is the perfect source. But today, nature is inefficient, it is inconsistent, it is costly, and in many cases, it's a contaminated factory of wellness. We at BioHarvest, through our biofarming technology, we produce plant cells with active ingredients that are identical, fingerprint identical to those that were originally sourced from the parent plant, and they have clinically proven health benefits. And we can do this at massive industrial scale with fingerprint consistency at much higher concentration levels and with very high solubility, bioavailability, and efficacy for the human body. And we do this in a way that has no contaminants or heavy metals. We are non-GMO. Our products have no sugar nor calories. And there are unparalleled advantages for the environment from our biofarming technology. For example, one bioreactor can produce the equivalent of 10,000 square meters of land on an annual basis. Our process requires us to use the plant once just to create the cells. And following this, we continue to use a cell bank. We are the plant cell growth company. Our way of farming, of what we call biofarming, has a technological application for many business verticals and over 500 billion addressable markets. Today, we have offerings in the nutraceutical category with our superfruit nutraceuticals, as well as in the next 12 months, we will be bringing to market a very unique offering in the cannabinoid sector. Thank you for this opportunity, and if you'd like to hear more about how we are changing the world and bringing a level of wellness to the world which is unique and is able to significantly change the lives of consumers, please reach out to us, and we look forward to sharing with you more.
Jonathan Orr, CMO, Beyond Oil.
Hello, my name is Jonathan and I am CMO at Beyond Oil Company. Beyond Oil is a food company, provides a revolutionary solution that has the potential to disrupt the global oil industry. Enjoy our video.
Oils are everywhere, by itself, as an ingredient, or as a part of food preparation. The oil is found in every meal we consume. Crude oils are naturally acidic. Their high free fatty acids content makes them too harsh for our palate. In order to reduce the acidity value, the oil must be refined. External refineries diminish the manufacturer's profit margins. The processes themselves are wasteful and expensive. They damage the nutritional value, vitamin content, and lessen the oil flavor. Refining also causes formation of the trans fatty acids. Trans fats elevate bad cholesterol levels, causing cardiovascular disease as well as obesity and diabetes. Beyond Oil redefines the standards of acidity reduction technology. Implemented at the production line level and through a clean, green, and non-destructive process, Beyond Oil makes the edible oils healthier from the very start. Beyond Oil unique filter aid is added and mixed into the crude oil. In a gentle, environmentally friendly process, Beyond Oil filter aid absorbs the free fatty acids from the oil. The resulting mixture is then passed through to the centrifugal separator. In the centrifuge, filter aid and free fatty acids mix is separated from the oil and discharged. The separated oil is then filtered and polished. The final oil is collected, ready for consumption. In the words of leading scientist in oils and lipids research, Professor Gadi,
the technology was tested by me in a variety of tests that are defining the purity and the quality of the oil. In all those parameters which are essential for our health, the technology is superior to anything that is today in the marketplace. To the best of my knowledge, the technology is a revolutionary one with not any similar technology around the world. It's actually changing the entire concept of crude oils and health ingredient type of oils.
Beyond Oil maximizes value for producers and customers. We provide cold-pressed, non-acidic, trans-fat-free product with high economic value and energy-saving production. Beyond Oil extends oil's shelf life and environmentally friendly. Join our revolution. Beyond Oil. Healthy food for a healthy future.
Thanks for watching. We will be happy to meet and share more information about this exciting opportunity.
Coming up on stage, we have Limor Stoller, CEO of BioCloud.
Hi, everyone. My name is Limor Stoller, and I'm the CEO of BioCloud. BioCloud was founded in December 2017 and has been active in the green and organic pest control sector. Our vision is to provide herbal-based organic vapor solutions for healthier farming and living. As you all know, chemicals can cause a range of diseases and are dangerous to our health and leave residue on the fresh produce. More and more chemicals-based pesticides are being banned for use, approximately 40% of them. BioCloud developed a biopesticide that is based on natural plant extracts made up of green molecules that both control and repel insect pests while leaving crops safe for consumption and the environment untouched. The product, BioCloud 618, is made of volatile plant-based active ingredients in a novel polymer-based slow-release formulation for continuous controlled release, thus providing effective insect control and repellency with similar efficacy levels to currently available chemical pesticides. The product saves organizations headcount costs for personnel who perform spraying activities. The product has various application methods. Farmers can control exactly which crop will be exposed to the product by simply placing the container, as you can see on the screen, at the base of the crop plant and opening the lid. BioCloud has completed proof of concept, and we have a patent filed national phase in the US. Our product is ready to be introduced to market, subject to regulatory approval. Last year, we received a Certificate of Excellence from the EU as part of the Horizon 2020 program. Experiments conducted show that BioCloud 618 is efficacious against both chewing and sucking pests such as silverleaf whitefly with a 92% mortality, cotton leafworm with a 96% mortality, and aphids with 80% mortality. Additional pests controlled are onion and western flower thrips and spider mites. BioCloud 618 also repels mosquitoes and controls little red ants. Our competitors are the conventional chemicals sold by Bayer, Corteva, and Syngenta, which are sprayed on the crops, and other organic products such as the ones sold by Maroon Bio, Certis, and Bioworks. Our advantages are that there is no contamination of water or soil, the product is easy to use, it does not leave any residue on the crop. In a one single product, there is control for both sucking and chewing pests. Currently, there is no organic product that works on vapor activity, has a slow release formulation, and you get a season-long activity in a single product. The global green pest control is valued at $5 billion and is expected to reach $10 billion by 2025. The insect repellent market is valued at $5.6 billion and is estimated to reach $9.6 billion by 2026. Our product also fits for storage facilities such as silos with a target market of $225 million. Thank you for your attention.
Next, Noam Azran, CEO of Be Free Agro.
Hi, I'm Noam. I'm a rancher and the CEO of Be Free Agro, the first autonomous herding solution. I've been working in this industry for almost 15 years, along with my partner and COO Dvir, a second-generation livestock grower. All our professional lives, we've been dealing with the challenges facing this industry, from rising operating costs to a shortage of skilled workers. Ranchers spend up to 90% of their time and energy monitoring and controlling their infrastructure, their pastures, and of course, their livestock. To overcome these challenges, we had to think outside of the box. 6 years ago, we started using our first drone. Initially as an eye in the sky, we quickly discovered that there is an interaction between the drone and the cows. Over the following years, with hundreds of flights and thousands of hours in the air, we developed and perfected our unique AI-driven herding method. The implications of this method transformed our lives. We managed to reduce manpower expenses by 50% and dramatically reduce overall expenses. For the first time, we were able to think long-term and make decisions based on what we wanted to do rather than what we could. We witnessed improvements in many aspects, ranging from financials to animal welfare and soil regeneration. We also got to spend time with our families. For our solution to be scalable, it must be autonomous. I'd like to introduce Joe, our autonomous cowboy drone, offering ranchers a click-and-herd solution that turns off-the-shelf drones into professional cowboys. Just open the app, choose the pasture you want to herd, and choose the destination. Then sit back and watch the magic happen. Using advanced AI, machine learning, and battle-tested algorithms, all our magic happens in the cloud. We call it Cowboy as a Service, and we offer a monthly payment model per animal. Backed by an Israeli Innovation Authority grant and pending another, a patent for our herding algorithms, secured pre-seed funding and partnerships with livestock agtech providers as well as academic researchers in the US, we are now starting our pilot in 2 ranches in Israel. With a strong team from Intel, the Technion, and industry veterans, along with experienced tech and business advisors, every day brings us closer to achieving an autonomous drone-based herding system. We will begin in Texas, with a rich history of cattle ranching and home to 10% of all cattle in the US. As you can see, we are implementing our solutions to other animals, like sheep and camels, opening up additional markets and industries. We are raising $2 million to complete our MVP, pilot in Israel, and large-scale pilot in Texas. We invite you to reach out and hear more about Be Free Agro, the first autonomous herding solution. Thank you.
Coming next, Ricky Goffrey, CEO of Wadis.
Hello everyone, my name is Ricky and I am the CEO of Wadis, a wastewater treatment and water disinfection company. The growth of population becomes a global critical problem, pollution is all over, on the ground, underground, and in the air. On one hand, the growing population and urbanization increase the quantities of municipal and industrial toxic wastewater, while on the other hand, the existing wastewater treatment plants have limited capacity and limited ability to expand. So there's an urgent need to reduce pollution and increase wastewater treatment efficiency. Now, what's a wastewater treatment plant? A wastewater treatment plant receives wastewater from two resources. One is municipal wastewater that flows through underground piping system after we flush our toilets, and industrial wastewater that come from the industry. In the wastewater treatment plant, the wastewater is separated to effluents, water, and sludge, solids. The water is directed to water reservoirs and from there to the sea, the river, or for reuse for further processing. And the solids are evacuated into drying sites for further processing before ground burial or compostization. Here is a short movie presenting Gadi's system and technology.
Our eco-friendly, chemical-free disinfection technology is based on a high-voltage electrical pulse that is discharged within water, wastewater, or sludge. The electrical pulse generates synergetic disinfection agents such as a powerful shock wave, UV, magnetic and electrical fields, ionization and polarization of molecules, cavitation, and very high temperatures at the discharge canal, ensuring total bacterial eradication. Pairing high system performance with low energy consumption, our unique system is effective against a wide range of microorganisms and can be used in various applications such as sewage water and sludge, drinking water, cooling towers, aquaculture, and ballast water, to name a few. The Gadi system also improves sludge digestion and biogas production processes. Gadi, shocking technology.
One full-size sludge system treatment has already been installed in Kfar Saba City wastewater treatment plant, running 24/7. Its high performance, along with low energy consumption, significantly improve the wastewater treatment capacity, reduce the amount of evacuated sludge, and increase the biogas production, which is then transferred into electricity. Another disinfection demo system for wastewater reuse by decomposing micropollutant has been installed at the Shafdan. The system was tested under the European Horizon 2020 Aquanes project and in cooperation with Mekorot, Israel National Water Company, and the Israeli Innovation Authority. Wadis is looking for an investment of $5 million in order to generate sales of $80 million over the coming 5 years with an expected profit margin of 62%. We invite you to become our partners. Thank you.
Moving on to Ron Shani, CEO of Ecologic.
Hi, my name is Ron Shani, and I am the CEO of Ecologic Agriculture Software House. I believe that each of us would like to know that the fresh food we buy, like vegetables or fruits, are healthy to eat. That we know how to grow as much as we can from any farmland unit, but without pollution, soil or water. To support all your requests, we have developed the Ecologic platform, an innovative solution for agriculture, economy, sustainability. A most powerful food intelligence solution from crop to consumer. Let's see how we control all crop in one click.
Mankind's main problem in the 21st century is the food shortage. It takes a coordinated effort between the growers, the packing houses, the cooperatives, and the food companies, which dictate regulations and standards. And all this in a dynamic and constantly changing environment. We at Ecologic know the ins and outs of crop raising and speak the farmer's language. We're all graduates of the Israeli IT world, so we're also tech people. The Ecologic system was developed by leading Israeli IT managers and leading agriculture experts, and it allows for agricultural tracking and management from the field to the supermarket. Ecologic was created through a partnership with Microsoft and makes optimal use of Microsoft's cloud, Microsoft Azure. Ecologic is a bilingual system that facilitates the management of a variety of growing environments, such as open field crops, orchards, greenhouses, cannabis, vineyards, and more. The system allows for the control and monitoring of every phase of crop raising regardless of the type of crop. The use of a single database, which creates an integrated status report while sharing data in real time, can serve many different kinds of users, including countries, food companies, cooperatives, packing houses, growers' organizations, and more. This guarantees that each participant is updated in real time concerning the information relevant to itself. Tracking the crop from the field to the consumer allows for the application of advanced management tools on both the professional and economic fronts, including saving the latest crop protocols, food safety, exact pricing, meeting standards, and ensuring coordination throughout the supply chain, from the grower to the supermarket. The system is sold in each country through local partners who are versed in the local culture and provide inculcation, localization, instruction, and guidance services throughout in the local language. Welcome to the smart future of agriculture. Welcome to Ecologic.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you.
Next on stage, we have Roy Yacobi, CEO of Tie Up Farming.
Hi everyone, my name is Roy and I'm from Tie Up Farming. Today, we're dealing with some of the largest agribusinesses in Australia. We're focusing on the horticulture industry, which is mainly fruit and vegetables, and dealing with medium to large agribusinesses. So what is the problem? Today, we've got specific solution for specific areas on the farm. If it's to manage harvest using QR barcodes and RFID tags, if it's to manage your chemical and fertilizer using a specific software, or managing your packing shed using another software. Everything is siloed and nothing talks to each other. So the outcome is that the agribusiness, especially the farm manager and the executive teams, are in the dark when it's coming to management decisions. Introducing the solution, Tie Up Farming, an end-to-end software solution dedicated only for the horticulture industry, managing the farm and the packing shed, turning it into a factory-like operation. We're focusing on the operation side of things and providing control and command, complete traceability, and we streamline the operation. We're using advanced data science engine to optimize yield by correlating between the inputs on the field and the outputs which are in the packing shed. We're touching on all aspects of the farm, starting from the field hand, which we're very focused on, using an advanced UX and UI, and the farm managers and the executive teams. We're talking about a very sticky product. In the last 5 years we've been in operation, we're tracking the weekly user usage of the software, and it keeps increasing. We're now looking at an average of more than 2 hours a day per agribusiness. We're talking about a huge growth in the last 14 months, predominantly signing a distribution agreement with Elders, one of the largest agribusinesses in Australia. Our business model is land and expand. We're starting with one module and expanding to the second and third and so forth. We're talking about a huge industry, more than $12 billion that we can have a bite from. And that's not including the secondary big data market. Our plans are to expand into the US coming into 2022. And we've got a very experienced team. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Shai Zeltzer, Chief Agronomist of TAP.
Innovation in agriculture, technological leadership, maximum efficiency. This is where they meet. TAP, 60 years of experience by your side. Tshuva Agricultural Projects, TAP, is a leader in leafy crop production and the establishment of modern horticulture projects employing various methods. For more than half a century, we've specialized in growing lettuce, fresh herbs, vegetables, and more in pest-free, pesticide-free greenhouses with minimal labor cost. Our unique growing methods incorporate several components: advanced hydroponic technologies, growing in disconnected substrates, pest protection nets, computerized fertigation systems, water recycling systems, climate control. This approach results in clean, fresh produce with long shelf life while safeguarding the environment and providing other significant advantages. Lower labor costs, major water and fertilizer savings, prevention of groundwater and soil contamination, greatly reduced production costs, maximum utilization of production area, minimal pesticide use. TAP's unique production process maintains very high crop yields and uniform produce quality throughout the year. In a world where the demand for agricultural produce keeps on growing, while growing areas are more and more limited, Tshuva Agricultural Project's unique approach gives growers better control over crop quality and quantity and much higher profits. Since 1957, TAP has been at the forefront of modern agriculture with know-how based on decades of research and in-the-field experience. We've established projects around the world. We adapt our systems to suit the widest range of climatic conditions and topography. TAP brings its customers tailor-made agricultural solutions suited to local conditions and specific requirements. Every TAP project features the most advanced greenhouse crop technology, along with high-quality, cutting-edge equipment. Our customers also enjoy ongoing support from top professionals in the fields of herbs and other flowers, with expert supervision at every stage, from planning through construction and operation, and for years afterwards. TAP brings you a new outlook on agriculture: modern, profitable, clean, and environmentally friendly. Above all, TAP means fresh, quality products at an affordable price. Join us for green success. TAP Projects, 60 years of experience by your side.
Next, we have Shelly Barak, co-founder of iShens.
iShens is providing holistic solutions for farmers
in order to maximize yield and quality.
We provide an overall solution, both hardware and software, which gives the farmers all the tools necessary to maximize their yield and streamline the operation of their farms.
All products are built with the latest technologies based on recent academia knowledge, our own research and experimentation, and very tight collaboration with leading cultivators in Israel. We have several agnostic lines of products which are highly modular and customizable, since there is no one-size-fits-all in this industry.
We built our LED grow lights with an adjustable spectrum. Not only it is far superior to HPS light by saving up to 40% in energy consumption, it also has unique benefits compared to other LEDs. By providing an adjustable spectrum based on white, blue, red, and far red,
we are stimulating biochemical receptors on the plants that react to daylight changes, sunsets, sunrise, and seasonal changes, in order to match the light conditions to the optimal levels of the plants
based on their growth stages, crop type, and desired growth protocol.
This means we can shorten the growth cycle to help produce the same phenotypic characteristics and chemical composition of the yield time after time. Consistency is a major factor for medical cannabis.
We also provide a smart box controller which operates the irrigation and fertigation. These elements require precision and constant adjustment based on sensor input and light intensity. The real-time measurements are being used in our machine learning algorithm to create the optimal condition
in each microclimate for growth and flowering. Our goal is to empower farmers so they can achieve the best possible yield from their plants, boost the profitability of the farm,
and deliver top-notch produce to their customers.
All of our products are designed, programmed, and assembled in Israel. And by doing everything in-house, we can achieve lower costs, which ensure shortened return of investment for our customers.
Our team has over 50 years of combined experience in water engineering, biology, physics, electrical engineering, and extensive knowledge in agriculture landscape.
We see great benefit in a wide deployment of smart solutions which tackle the most critical challenges to the agriculture industry is facing. Reducing the use of resources, water, space, transportation, supporting inner city farming, and ensuring the best possible yield for the growing population of the planet.
We're taking the guesswork out of the agriculture daily operations and replacing it with hard science backed by intelligent software and robust hardware.
Our solutions are already installed in various locations, helping farmers grow lettuce, tomatoes, and medical cannabis.
From large-scale public companies to research startup perfecting seed genetics for various purposes.
We would love to share more of our knowledge with you
and build a solution for your needs.
Tomer Partush, Project Manager of Project Bar Group.
By the time these cows finish their meal, you'll understand what can be done to make dairy farms flourish even more. Ready? Project Bar Group are experts in setting up and managing projects in the dairy sector in a variety of environments all over the world. Project Bar Group provides consultation at 15 degrees below zero in Russia and at 30 degrees Celsius in Thailand, providing the best possible results. How is it done? Project Bar Group is a family-run company with decades of experience and a methodical work process based on knowledge, experience, innovation, and technology. The process includes economic profiling, ongoing guidance, nutrition, technology, waste treatment. We begin by creating a business plan based on existing requirements and resources, including planning, construction, ongoing operation, and an annual budget. With ongoing management, it's important to look beyond the numbers. Project Bar's key performance indexes strategically cover all of the dairy farm's needs. Herd management, herd health, fertility indexes, food utilization and diet quality, while ensuring increasing profitability and the cow's well-being. What do Project Bar's cows eat? The company uses raw materials from the world's finest manufacturers. Furthermore, the company develops food supplements that improve milk quality in terms of fat and protein content without jeopardizing milk production, food utilization, or herd health, all with the aim of maximizing the customer's profit per liter. The entire nutritional process is supervised by a senior nutritionist from Project Bar. Now, let's take it to the next level. In order to synchronize the whole process, Project Bar Group developed Smart Farm. Smart Farm is a system that facilitates the management and monitoring all of the farm activities in a single system, offering business insights in real time, which help the farmer make informed, speedy decisions at any time and from any place. Because end-of-year reports may come too late. Make decisions in real time. As part of a global ecological effort, regulation of dairy farms has been increased. Together with its partners, Project Bar developed a biological solution for treating farm waste. The solution reduces the need for human intervention in the process and meets regulatory requirements. In every project in which Project Bar Group is involved, they provide tailor-made solutions to help dairy farmers prosper and connect with global markets. Project Bar Group is constantly innovating in order to provide dairy farmers with exactly what they're looking for. The guiding principle? Profitability alongside sustainability and the animal's well-being. The cows haven't even finished their meal, but you've had a taste of Project Bar Group's qualities. We invite you to look into our projects.
Coming up, we have Tomer Tzach, CEO of CropX.
Salam, shalom. My name is Tomer Tzach. I am the CEO of CropX. Cropex is an agriculture technology company, and I will use the next 3 minutes to tell you a little bit more about what we're doing. So our product has both a hardware component and a software component to it. On the hardware side, proprietary soil sensors that we developed ourselves that are very unique and collect data from the soil. On the software side, it's an app that farmers download to their phone, and we essentially help them do a better job. So when I say do a better job, I mean with irrigation, with fertilizer management. Now we also do automation, so we connect to the various irrigation devices. We can control them for the farmers, so like an autopilot for the farm. The vision is to essentially become the company that masters the insights from the soil, from the soil layer. I'm emphasizing the soil because there are so many, the vast majority actually of the agriculture technology companies are bringing their data solely from above the ground, so satellite imagery, UAVs, drones, etc. The problem with above the ground, especially with irrigation and fertilizer application, is that the data comes in too late. By the time you see something that's happened above the ground, it's already happened 2 weeks ago, because a plant, for example, that's not irrigated properly would suck up everything it can from the root zone and from the stem. It takes 2 weeks until something is shown above the ground. We know, coming from within the soil, that a plant is not receiving enough water before the plant knows. So we can be predictive, preventive. We create much more value. The uniqueness of our system is its ability to scale. We are the only do-it-yourself system. We don't need technicians to install. We just ship our product. Farmers install it by themselves in just 5 minutes. On the software side, we have a very comprehensive farm management system. We connect all of the various data layers, satellite imagery, weather data, 50 different crop models that we support, topography, and about 10 different data layers that all are combined into our system. Now, what do we do with all that? Well, first and foremost, we save water. Actually, experiments have shown that we save up to 50% of the water, and we increase yield by up to 20%, which is huge. But we do much more. We save energy. We help save labor, reduce labor. We help farmers comply with regulation. We even have insurance, crop insurance use cases. We even have a very strong sustainability play thanks to an acquisition that we recently completed in New Zealand of a competing company. So now around the dairy industry, we're able to help farmers prevent nitrogen runoff and prevent leaching. As you can see on the map right now, we are already, after 3 years of commercialization, are installed and deployed all across the globe. We really see now that we've hit the inflection point in terms of kind of the expedited deployments. And I think the best testimony to that is now 2020. That's been a very difficult year for some of our competitors, but for us it's been our best year ever, because while most of our competitors were required to stop selling because they need technicians to go and install and deploy in the field, thanks to the do-it-yourself capabilities of our system, I mean, we've installed in places that we wouldn't have imagined this year. We've installed in Senegal, in Belize, in Uruguay, in Thailand, even in the UAE recently. On to the next slide. We are very fortunate to have the best syndicate of investors that are backing us. So companies such as Innovation Endeavors, that's the VC fund by Eric Schmidt, Google's former chairman, invested in Cropex because of the data play. Finisteer Ventures, the leading ag tech VC out of the United States, invested in Cropex. And most importantly, we have a very strong syndicate of strategic investors that invested not necessarily large amount, but it's more about, of course, creating the bond, creating the partnership, and working together. So to summarize, Cropex today is 45 employees, 5 in New Zealand, 10 in the United States. That's the commercial arm, 30 in Israel, mostly software, of course. We are a technology company. We had a very strong 2020. We acquired 2 competing companies this year in New Zealand and in the United States. We signed a few strategic commercial agreements. We completed our Series B a year ago. We have funds until mid-2022 and even beyond. We already have, of course, our technology proven, and now it's all about scaling. And we might need additional funding to complete an additional acquisition that we're looking at the moment. And I'll be glad to address any questions that you have. Please feel free to reach out by email or by phone, and I'll be glad to see how to collaborate. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Yael Mandel, Sales Manager of To Be Fresh.
To Be Fresh is a state-of-the-art line of quality fresh micro-leaves, also known as microgreens. This gourmet vegetable confetti, made from various crop seedlings, are packed with nutrients and vitamins and are famous for their disease-preventing and health-improving properties. Our micro-leaves are rich in flavor, with stunning visual texture and color, and they taste great. No need to worry about cutting the leaves or disposing any growing materials. The leaves are cut at the exact size to preserve their nutritional values and are supplied fresh and ready to use. All you are left to do is add this tasty superfood to your daily diet and enjoy beautiful and healthier cuisines. To Be Fresh. It's green, it's clean, it's perfect.
We'd now like to welcome on stage Yoav Dagan, VP Business Development of Aqua Ma'of.
We are Aqua Ma'of. We're taking aquaculture to the next level. We build the world's most advanced indoor aquaculture facilities. Sustainability and environmental impact are key in everything we do. We're leveraging our technology to create the next generation of fish farming. With over 20 years of experience, our team of experts have been providing solutions for aquaculture in over 50 locations around the world. We believe in true transparency, from broodstock to plate. Minimal energy and labor requirements, lower capital costs for integrated projects, compliance with strict and responsible farming practices, comprehensive EPC solutions, the highest biosecurity standards to prevent fish disease. No chemicals, no antibiotics, all natural product. With advanced facilities around the world, Aqua Ma'of is going global. Fresh fish from our farm to your market.
Next, we have Yonatan Golan, CEO of Breville.
Hi, I'm Yonatan, the co-founder and CEO of Breville. It is my pleasure to present to you today our vision of feeding the world sustainably. With the current growth rate of humanity, animal-based proteins simply cannot be the long-term solution. We must find alternatives that are truly sustainable and scalable on global scales. Many experts and companies are looking at microscopic algae, microalgae, to be this holy grail. 2 billion years ago, these tiny organisms produced all of the oxygen we breathe today. They grow exponentially fast and are just packed with proteins and many other ingredients and nutrients relevant for a variety of other industries. Compared to any other protein source, microalgae are completely off the charts in the amount of protein produced per land area. And they require only a fraction of the resources other protein sources need. This is what the future of food should and will look like, healthy, sustainable, and on global scales. So why aren't we eating microalgae for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Why don't we see microalgae in every product all around us? The sad truth is that this amazing potential has a very high cost and quality barrier. At $100 per kilogram, they're simply not relevant for mass production. The current outdoor ponds and reactors are very labor-intensive, suffer from contaminations, produce inconsistent qualities at relatively low yields, and result in very high costs. Some strains of microalgae can be grown in the dark, based only on sugar in a fermentation process. And then costs are significantly lower and yields are very high. But in the absence of light, almost all of the benefits of microalgae are simply lost. This is exactly where we come in. Vervel developed the first industrial-scale indoor reactors which combine internal illumination with a fermentation process based on sugar. Today we can produce affordable microalgae rich with all of the nutrients and ingredients which need light to be produced. We cracked and patented the key enabling elements that are crucial for the operation of the system, and today we can produce microalgae at yields 200 times higher than the state of the art in outdoor systems, and a cost reduction of more than 90%. This is a paradigm shift. We stop seeing microalgae as an agricultural crop, but instead as a high-tech advanced industry. In light of this vision and our achievements, we received the support of many organizations, but most of all from the European Union, with a combined grant and equity investment of 10 million euros. With this support, we're building up our operational capacity towards building the first factory here in Israel, which can then be duplicated to additional sites worldwide. In parallel, we're developing a wide portfolio of products relevant for many industries which are in high need of sustainable bio-based ingredients. We already have several paying customers and running POCs with global strategic partners in each of these verticals. These are my two older boys. Looking for their future and taking care of them is my life goal. We founded Vervel with them and the next generation in mind. The world and environment don't give us time to work slowly. The food system is changing rapidly, and we plan on being ready to meet the demands. Thank you.
I would like to thank you all for joining us online today. It was an honor for us to host this important event and strengthen the relationships between Israel and the UAE. We hope to welcome you in Israel soon. A special thank you to our sponsors, cooperations, and the amazing companies who took an active part in making this event a huge success. If you're interested in receiving the presentations from today's elevator pitches, or if you would like to schedule one-on-one meetings with one of the companies or more, please contact me or Nurit Ze'evi in the contact details below. Thank you again, and we hope to welcome you all in our future Go for Israel events.